Alright, so welcome guys to another review, and today we have the CCA CS16. So this is actually a $100 16 BA configuration from CCA, and this is the first time that we're seeing an all BA setup from CCA. But actually, from the title of this video, this is a departure from the norm, and actually because of that, this might not fall in my preference, and we are gonna discuss why. So let's talk about this. Of course, big thanks to CCA themselves for sending this over. Links down below for their shop. So actually the box is your typical KZ box, not that big here. So here you're getting some specs. So actually, in terms of the overall look, this is similar to the CA16. So definitely in this price range, I would like to have better box in this. So the package is not that good for me. So yeah, it's 2021, so I would like better package in this. So it still comes in your usual CCA box here. Actually, your typical KZ cable, so that's a bit disappointing for me, especially in the price range. Also getting some silicone tips as well, and actually this is a bit different compared to what I'm usually used to. But yes, in terms of the tips, they're still not the best in build quality here. So in terms of the lobes itself, kind of looks cool for me. Actually getting some fins, which is something that I personally like, and the shape as well. For multi-driver system, it's pretty small, and I would say stylish as well. You're getting that CCA gold trims, and compared to the CCA C12, of course, you have some fins here, which might give this more stability on the ear. So for monitoring, this will be nice on the ear and really stable as well. And you're getting that faceplate, that metal faceplate, which kind of looks nice. And what's different compared to the CCA C12 is you're getting a kind of a small hole here. So I'm not sure if it's a see-through, but I'm getting some design there, and getting that 2-pin connector as well at the top. And again, compared to the CCA C12, again, this is more of a custom IM kind of design, which is something that I like. So over other CCAs, this might be the most custom looking one, and that's definitely interesting for me. You can see the inside as well. So let's try this on the ear. So in terms of the wear on the ear, this is actually one of the more stable CCAs that we are testing. So definitely that custom IM kind of design definitely helped out in making this really stay on the ear nicely. However, in terms of comfort, I didn't find this that comfortable to listen to. So it's a bit snug on the ear, maybe too snug for me. So for me, it's not that comfortable to listen to for a long listening session. It gets quite hot after some time. And also I did find that putting this on the ear is a bit fiddly. It's not that easy to get a good fit in this overall. It does go inside your ear, but it takes some adjustment for you to be able to find the better fit. So yes, actually it looks good for me, but in terms of the overall usability, it's not that nice for me overall. So I'm not that big of a fan of what they did here overall. So looking at the sound in this is actually a very different sounding CCA. So this is the most unique CCA that I have seen. So the tuning here is a really big departure from your usual CCAs. So looking at the tuning, this is more of a warm tuning on the ear. So looking at the top region, guys, you don't have any 12K peak here. Don't even have an 8K peak. So the treble rolls off after around 5 to 6K. So that's the first time that I have seen that from CCA. And actually, you do get a really big hump at around 1 to 2K. So the mids here are actually quite forward in the mix, which is again really surprising for CCA. You're also getting a really big elevation as well in the bass region up to the sub bass region. In the sub bass region, the bass elevation is more compared to what you have with your mids region. So the bass here is definitely prominent in the mix. So from the bass region, you're getting that dip, a big dip to around 800 hertz region. And after that, you're getting a really big hump to around 1 to 2K. With that mids elevation in the middle, and after that it goes down to around 3K, and then after that it goes up with a more prominent peak at around 5K, and then after that it goes down to around 7K, and after that you don't have any air frequency elevation. So in terms of the overall tuning, this is definitely unique. The first time that I have seen for CCA with this kind of tuning. Alright, so talking about the sound, so the sound here, kind of reminds me in a way of the Blonde 03, but take out more of the air frequencies. And actually that 12K recession for me is a bit too much. I find this to be a bit too boxy to listen to, so it's lacking a bit of air frequencies for me. So definitely warm sound on the ear. The bass is elevated in the mix as well as the mids. So in terms of the positioning, actually the mids is one of the better ones for a CCA overall. But yes, the treble roll off at the top definitely takes a hit with cymbals. and with some guitar tracks as well, it makes it a bit too boxy. So compared to other CCAs, this is the only one that I have seen with this signature. So whether you like that or not, that will be up to you. But yes, a really unique signature here. So the highs for me is recessed in the mix here. So the cymbals, is a bit too laid back for my liking. Like it's in my life, Bon Jovi, the cymbals is really too back in the mix for me. Actually, it's quite hard for me to locate the cymbals in that track, which is quite surprising. It does deliver with good body though, so it's not shimmery, peaky type of cymbals. So that's nice overall, and also pretty speedy in terms of the presentation as well. So definitely that dynamic driver presentation is nice on the top here. And also what's nice here is there's no sibilance inside. So this is one of the major advantage of the CS16. This is one of the more tame CCAs that I have checked so far. However, for me, yes, the highs here are not my favorite. The roll-off is a bit too early for my liking. Looking at the mids, so actually the mids here over the highs, I would say is the highlight of the CS16. This might be their focus in this IEM. So the mids are surprisingly full and good positioning for me in the mix. So this reminds me heavily of a dynamic driver type of presentation on the ear. So the best positioning that I have heard in a CCA so far. So the presentation is quite smooth and the guitars have good body and girth to the sound, with ample micro detail as well. The vocal is full and pretty smooth as well in the overall presentation. So again, this has that maybe dynamic driver type of presentation to it. So I would say this is the highlight of this IEM. However, for me, even if the vocal has good positioning in the mix, it's still not the most revealing vocal here because maybe of that treble elevation at the top. It makes the listen a bit boxy to listen to, especially for some female vocals. I find it to be a bit laid back to listen to overall. But the advantage here is, again, this doesn't have some hotness in the vocal even. So even if you go higher volumes, you won't be able to hear any hotness here. So I would say yes, this is the highlight of the CS16. But overall for vocals, for me, I would say not the best again for vocals. Bass is really quick in the mix, has that BA, tightness in the bass response. So the bass is also boosted in the mix here. So the bass is definitely front and center in the mix, along with the mids as well. So it has more of a relaxed bass in this. So it doesn't have that maybe dynamic driver type of impact here. So your dynamic drivers will be more impactful. The slam will be more impactful compared to your BA type of presentation. So the bass here is quite fast and speedy, punchy bass as well. But yes, the bass here is elevated in the mix, and for me a bit too elevated in the mix here, and sometimes it overpowers some mids for me. So the bass for me is better than the highs here, but I would say not the best bass here, especially for the price that you are paying for. So the soundstage is above average, and this not bad overall. Separation not that good for me. Is actually this has some congestion for me. So maybe that 16 driver system and that tuning as well. So it sounds a bit too congested for my liking, especially in some tracks. It's very hard to locate some instruments. So separation is not good for me in this. Imaging is alright, but not that black and white to listen to. Detail is actually pretty good in this. So compared to the CCA C12, another CCA that's in my top 5 before. So the CCA C12 has more of a U type of shape on the ear. It's more fun to listen to, especially with that dynamic driver presentation. The shimmer on top in the CCA C12 is more pronounced in the mix. The clarity in the C12 is more prominent. Micro detail, I would say, is equally good for me. Maybe the transits is a bit more pronounced in the C12 because of that signature. So maybe on the ear, the detail perception for the C12 might be a bit better for you. Tonality for me on top in the C12 is not the best here. So I will actually give the edge to the CS16 in the tonality at the top. But the advantage with the C12 is it has more lively cymbals here. So the bass also in the C12 is more toned down. It's not that warm to listen to. So that's why C12 has better separation for me overall. So the C12 is brighter and more revealing sounding on the ear. However, the vocals is more recessed in the C12, being a U type of shape. So on the ear, they're really different. The CS16 is more warm to listen to. The C12 is a bright U type of shape, so it will depend on your preference. So for me, in my personal preference, I do like the C12 more because of the more revealing nature of the signature, and also I do like the separation as well in the C12. So compared to the BA5, so the BA5 is a cheaper, old BA brother. So I'd like to compare that to see the value proposition here. So on the BA5 for me is cleaner sounding in the ear. So the presentation is more of a monitor type of listen in the BA5. The CS16 will sound smoother overall. Again, more of a dynamic driver type of presentation. The CS16 is more of a casual listening pair. The BA5 is more of a monitor type of pair. The separation for me is a lot better in the BA5. The mids are more recessed though in the BA5. So detail for me is better in the CS16. But the transients are more pronounced in the BA5. Their frequencies also is more pronounced in the BA5. The cymbals will have a more live, and also the guitars will have more life as well in the sound. So for the CS16, if you like warmth and smoothness in the sound and that forward mids in the mix, you might like the CS16. BA5 if you like better separation and a monitor type of sound and more pronounced transients. So in my personal preference, I do like the BA5 more. So I find the CS16 in this regard to be a bit too congested for my like. So compared to the CA16, both of them have 16 drivers here. So the CA16 for me is more U-shaped on the ear, a more recessed vocal as well, brighter, and the bass being a dynamic driver has more impactfulness in the CA16. The CA16 also has more hot vocals, so the sibilance is more pronounced in the CA16. That's one downside. The cymbals are also more lively and better positioning as well in the CA16. The CA16 still has some splashy cymbals to it, so it's not perfect. So actually it's better in the CS16 in this. Vocals are also both smooth as well. But for me, the vocals in the CA16 is a bit more revealing to listen to. Again, the CS16 is more boxy to listen to. So for me, the CA16 is kind of like a smoother brother to your C12. So the CS16 is a lot warmer on the ear. The mid-range is more forward in the mix. So the sound is more boxy to listen to, as I mentioned. So in my personal preference, I do like the CA16 more in this regard. I like that the cymbals have more life to the sound. The vocal are still quite full in the mix, and you're getting a more kind of revealing signature overall. Alright, so for the CS16, this has been a long review. But yeah, overall for the CS16, this might be one of my least favorite CCAs. So the signature is not something that I like personally. So that treble roll off the top is a bit too much for me. So this might work for some people, especially if you don't like hotness in your listen. This can work, but for me, for you to like this, your taste should be specific to this kind of signature. Because for me, yes, it's not a safe signature to go into. So I invite you to listen to the sound test for you to be able to decide. But yes, for me personally, I'm not that big of a fan of the CS16 overall, and especially for the $100 range. Of course, I expected more for the price that you're paying for. So yes, for the CS16, this is not something that I can recommend. So I actually prefer cheaper counterparts from CCA compared to the CS16. So that's my take in the CS16. Of course, if you learned something, leave a like and subscribe for more content like this in the future. And actually, after reviewing this, I'm not that excited to check the CKX. So hopefully that will be a better listen compared to this. But let's see. But yes, I actually wanted to listen to an improved version of the C12 or the CA16 because if they tune the top to be better, it might be a better listen. So I'm looking for that CCA, an improvement from the C12 and the CA16. If they improve the tonality on top, and also the shimmer on top, if they tone it down a bit, it might be a bit better. Hopefully we can see that in the CKX. Let's see if that's the IM that we're looking for. But we're gonna check more CCAs in the future, so stay tuned for that, and see you guys in the next zpolt review. Bye bye.